Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS in.form. I'm your host, Bill Potter. Joining us in the studio is Clayton Boyles. Clayton is the Executive Director for the Dubois County Community Foundation. Clayton, welcome to the show.
Bill, thanks for having me again.
You guys do some amazing work that you do, and 2020 was a year that we all want to forget.
Yeah.
But because of some of the things that you've done, it's been okay for some people to continue some of these nonprofits. But let's kind of do an update on where we are in 2020.
Yeah, it's been an up and down year, certainly market-wise. Although we've remained steady, and we'll have I think a positive year investment-wise from our asset perspective. We've granted differently this year. We responded to COVID needs in March and April, and a little bit into the summer. But our unrestricted grant making, our community grant making that we do, has remained strong, and we've had a lot of great grant applications come in. But our donor base, although we didn't meet for quite some time, a lot of phone calls, a lot of engagement that way, some virtual meetings. But people are continuing to give, and we see that remaining steady, which is just amazing. And it's also, and we'll talk later about the just giving during a time of need and a time of crisis, but our donors are stepping up to be able to fill needs within the community. And so we've been busy in 20. It's been a different year, but one that we've embraced and adapt to the change, and it's been good.
One way people can give is a planned gift.
Yeah.
What is a planned gift?
It's a great question. A planned gift is a charitable contribution that is arranged or thought about today, but is given in the future. And usually it's when someone passes away. So a planned gift or a legacy gift or a gift through their will, a gift through their estate plan, are ways in which donors can say, I have assets, whether it be a 401k, a life insurance policy, an annuity, land, their house, whatever that might be, and they have heirs that they want to give to, or beneficiaries, whether it be a grandkid or a child or niece, nephew. But some donors say, hey, this charitable organization that I care about, I want to also leave some dollars to be able to support the work that they're doing when I'm no longer here. So a planned gift is simply really just a way in which people give, but they don't have to do it now. They can do it in the future.
So you're really planning for when you are not here, that's when that gift goes. Because you can just come up to the community foundation and say, here's $1,000, do this with it, or do whatever you want with it.
Yep.
But this is more for after you pass, that money's going to go somewhere.
Right. There's just like your regular day, you have expenses that you're paying for now, and you're doing things, but there's going to be assets left, most likely. Some, it may be $1,000, it could be $1 million, we don't know.
Sure.
A lot of people question that of how, will I have enough into retirement? Will I have enough before I die? But typically there are assets that may not be liquid in your lifetime, but would be liquid and able to be given to a beneficiary, whether it's a child or a community organization. You can give a cash gift now, and a lot of people give. That's the most popular way to give, is cash or credit card or a check. But a planned gift is one that we can talk about building a plan now, but you don't have to make the contribution until you're no longer here. And usually that occurrence is whenever you pass away.
And really that time to start thinking about it at any stage in your life.
Right.
Don't wait until I've got 6 months to live, I better decide what to do. You can do that now.
It's interesting you say that. Some people think, well, gosh, a planned gift, I don't need to think about that until I'm in my 70s or 80s. You are like 600 times more likely to take out a charity if you put them in your will in your 70s or 80s than if you put them in your 40s and 50s. And so as you are living life, whether it be because your kids are involved in something and that organization that your kids are involved in sparks an interest, or you become involved in something later in life, if you start thinking about doing something in your 40s and 50s, you're much more likely to keep them in your estate plan than if you're later in life. There's just statistics out there to say it. The average age for someone who leaves a charitable gift in their will is like 45 years old. So it's actually quite younger than I think most people would think. And so my wife and I, and we're in our very early 30s, and my wife's in her late 20s. We have 2 children. I was going to say 3. We have 2. Hope to have maybe 3.
Okay.
We have 2 children. It was important for us to have an estate plan to think about what happens to them if my wife and I are no longer here. But we also had the charitable conversation. And we said, our kids are going to be okay because, for instance, I have a life insurance policy that my wife will be a beneficiary of and my children will be if I, die unexpectedly. But I also have a provision in my estate to give to charity. And the charity of my choice, and I'm glad I'm living what I'm speaking, is I have left dollars to the Community Foundation, into a couple of endowments that I care about and my wife cares about. And that will probably increase percentage-wise as I grow and as I get older, because my children won't need as much from me. My children are still going to be the largest beneficiary of my estate. But the thing to think about, and the ask I guess I'm making to those interested in thinking about leaving a planned gift to charity, is, could you just carve out 5%? Could you carve out 10%? You can still give 95 or 90% to your heirs. They're not going to miss 5 and 10%. I know if my mother and father do this and leave something to charity, I'm not going to miss 10 cents on the dollar. But our community will. Collectively, if we don't think about our future in our county, it'll be up to that generation when they're there to really carve out what it makes sense for what that community will be. And so the point being is, let's build, a lot of people come in and talk about something that they're passionate about, and they think about it from a way of, I love this so much that I want to make sure it's always here. I want to make sure that they always have dollars to be sustainable. Let's build something that will make sure my passion remains even when I'm no longer here. I want to leave a legacy gift. I want to leave a planned gift to do that.
It's the community that makes us who we are. We may not realize it, but the communities make us who we are.
Absolutely. The culture that we're in, the safe environment that we're in, the thriving schools, and the economic vitality that we have in our community, that doesn't happen overnight, and it takes people to continue to be good caretakers and stewards of our assets that we have in our community. And we're just asking people to consider leaving something to this community when they're no longer here.
We often think of giving cash. What if somebody gives land? How does that work? I mean, obviously, you don't need land.
No,
but
I'm not gonna.
If I would give you 40 acres that I have someplace to the Community Foundation, do you then turn around and sell it?
We do. Yeah, it's a great question. I'll first off start by saying that nationally, when it comes to a individual's wealth, whatever that wealth is, whether they have $100,000 to their name or $100 million to their name, the majority of individuals only have about 1 to 3% of their wealth in cash. Everything else, life insurance policies, 401ks, homes, land, the 40 acres you talk about, are illiquid assets that are not able to be quickly bought and sold right now. So what happens is that if we would receive 40 acres, we would get it appraised and we would sell it. We would sell it to somebody who wants more hunting ground. We would sell it to a farmer next door. We would sell it to somebody who wants 40 acres to put a home on. We would sell it just like the next generation that would probably receive that if it didn't come to charity. It's just that we're going to turn that asset into cash, and then we're going to invest it into an endowment that donor cares about, and we're going to live off the interest every year of that endowment and give it out in the form of a grant every year. And so instead of 40 acres, it's going to be X amount of dollars that we're going to be able to give towards charity every year. That can be land, that can be farm equipment, that can be homes, like I said, 401k plans. We've had a number of unique gifts come through, and we're able to at least talk through them. We can accept most. We have to go through a little test of understanding, is this an appropriate gift to receive, and is it something that we can turn into cash quickly? But that's what we do at the foundation, and happy to hear about what somebody has that may be tax advantageous to them. That's also a motivation to think about a planned gift and do it ahead of time is when you're on your deathbed and you don't have an estate plan, it's much more expensive and a lot less that you save from a tax perspective if you didn't plan ahead. And so plan ahead, think about your loved ones, think about your community, give us a call and have a conversation about what that could look like.
And really, they should talk to you.
Yeah.
Or their tax advisor can tell your tax advisor
right.
or your CPA that you want to give. They need to talk to you somehow.
I think that's a great point to bring up, Bill. We have a really great relationship with the professional advisors in our community, and they're really an extension of the Community Foundation in a way, because I'm not an expert in tax law. I'm not an expert in estate planning. I'm not an expert in financial advising, but I have great partners in the community that are. And so whether it's a donor that comes in or it's a professional advisor that says, hey, I have a client who is interested in giving to charity, can we sync up, can we work together? And so the three of us will sit down. The couple or the individual, the professional advisor and I can sit down and say, this is our intention. What's the best asset to give to make that intention happen? So it's your accountant, it's your professional financial advisor, it's your attorney coming together that says, this is what the best asset may be for charity. There's great ways in which to give. There's more tax advantageous ways to give. It's just being prudent in knowing which is best.
To wrap things up, one thing, 2020 was a weird year. Have contributions been slower?
It's a good question that most people probably would say yes to, but nationally, on a national average scale, the philanthropy tracking has been tracked for about 60 to 70 years as far as people giving dollars to charity, and only about 3 times have we seen a decline in giving. People actually increase their giving or stay steady in times of a need like this, in a crisis. Pandemic's a little different, but we're projecting, and I think nationally people are projecting that 2020 will be a steady, if not a little bit of an increase in giving. And it's not actually because it's necessarily COVID related. They're not giving to COVID related things. They're giving it to organizations that they want to make sure are sustain. It's interesting, a lot of donors are giving towards organizations who have taken on some kind of debt, like maybe they built a building and they have $100,000 of debt to pay off over time. Donors are coming in and writing off that debt because they want to make sure that that organization is solid. And so nationally, we've seen an increase. From 2018 to 2019, it was about a 4.4% increase. Projecting to see it about the same from 2019 to 2020. And I think 2020 to 2021, you'll also see an increase. People give about the same, if not more, in cash and dollars. But if you typically and your wife gave $100 to 10 organizations, so you gave $1,000 a year, you're probably still giving $1,000, but you're not giving to 10 organizations, you're giving maybe to 4 or 5. You're tightening the organization that you're supporting because you're really assessing what's most important to you. And so you're still giving the same amount, just to less organizations. We see projections that will remain steady this year in our contributions to the Community Foundation, and it's a big thanks, and it's also always humbling to know who gives and why they give and why they trust and partner with the Community Foundation. So a big thank you to all our donors and all community members who support the foundation.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah, Bill, thanks for having me.
We'll have you back again. We'll talk more about the Dubois County Community Foundation.
Sounds great.
More information can be found on their website, or probably the best thing is just give them a call.
Yeah.
You guys are easy to talk to.
Anytime.
Thank you very much. Clayton Boyles has been our guest. We've been talking about the Dubois County Community Foundation. We are 18 WJTS, local people watching local people.